A Wish Upon a Star Twilight Fanfiction Audio Edward and Bella Story, Part 2. EPOV. I sighed and looked at the ceiling. Bella was home now, but I couldn't stop thinking about her. Her face was printed in my head. After I had asked her if she could ever forgive me, we talked a little. Not really important things to talk about, but at least we talked. That was a start. Her words went through my head. Edward, what you did was wrong. But you're trying to make it right. And that's what matters. You really hurt me when we were kids, but maybe, in the future, I can finally forgive you. But not now, Edward, not now. Of course, I really liked hearing she could eventually forgive me. But it was also kind of hard hearing her tell about how I had hurt her. That wasn't easy for me, because I knew how I hurt her, I just knew it. We talked for 2 hours before Alice came walking in. Note to self. Remember to hit Alice so hard, she'll never disturb anyone again. Alice came in, and not a minute later, Alice and Bella were gone. It all went so fast, I could hardly understand what was happening. Bella gave me a quick smile before she was dragged out of my room by Alice. Someone knocked on the door. When it opened, I saw Alice, face appear behind it. Edward, dinner's ready, you comin'. Alice looked at me with a face full of innocence. I tried to ignore the urge to glare at her, and nodded. I was pretty hungry, even though I hadn't noticed it before. I walked downstairs to find my whole family already there, waiting for me to come. So, Edward, Emmett started. How was your homework date with Bella? He finished his sentence, raising one eyebrow and showing his stupid grin. Dude, it was not a date. I almost yelled. Of course Emmett had to bring it up in front of everyone. Okay, well, my parents, the rest probably already knew what was going on. Seriously, Edward, we got the point. Now tell us how it went. Alice demanded. I glared at her, but it was too late. Did we miss out on something? Esme said, looking meaningful at me. Oh, now Emmett's crossed a line. He was going down. Except, I didn't what I could say to bring him down. But when I'd come up with something, he should prepare himself for the worst. Nothing, Esme, Bella and I just have this biology assignment together and we worked on that today. No big deal, Emmett snickered. Yeah right, he said, but Rosalie slapped him and he shut up. I was starting to like that girl. I finally realized the good things about Jasper and Rosalie. I mean, Jasper helped me with Bella and he didn't say a thing about Bella and I. Yeah, I don't think it was nothing Edward. Esme, Carlisle, I wouldn't trust it if I were you. Until now. Everybody laughed of what Jasper had said. I was starting to feel really uncomfortable. This was getting out of hand. I couldn't remember me being this mean to Jasper, Alice, Emmett or Rosalie. I never said improper things at family dinner. Okay, maybe a few, but that wasn't as bad as this. Well, okay fine they were. But who cares about the past? Really? Esme asked, raising her eyebrows. Alice started laughing and Rosalie joined her. I had no idea what they were laughing about, but it probably wasn't anything good. Oh yeah, I think it won't take long before you see Bella and Edward together again all the time, Alice said, barely able to stop laughing. I raised my eyebrows. What were they laughing about? Rosalie whispered something in Emmett's ear and he, too, started laughing. What? I asked. What's going on? What are you guys laughing about? Esme nodded. Yes, I'd like to know that too. She said. It's nothing special. Rosalie said. I didn't believe her. It was like my friend says all the time, never trust a beautiful girl. And I wasn't planning on trusting this one. Even though she wasn't as beautiful as, let's say Bella, she was still beautiful, in her way. But I'm not really the blonde girl kind of type, like I've told Tanya repeatedly in the past. I met her a few years ago, and we went out once, but I never really wanted anything serious with her. Apparently, she thought differently about that. Rose is right, Jasper said. It's nothing important. We were just laughing about Edward blushing like crazy. I thought this was bad enough. But according to the looks the four of them exchanged, I knew that wasn't what they were laughing about. BPOV. I sighed. I put my book away and lay on my bed. I couldn't even concentrate on the classics anymore. Normally, I'd get carried away with the story, completely forgetting the real world around me, but not this time. There was something about today, that completely took all the space in my head. There wasn't any more room for some more information. Which wasn't at all weird, seeing how much I had to handle with today. Edward being nice, Edward asking me to forgive him, Jacob leaving, Jacob telling me to call him that kind of stuff. Maybe I should call Jacob. Maybe I'd like it. Maybe it'll be good for me, dating a guy who's nice and sweet and he's really handsome. I knew I should do this, I knew it would be a good thing. But then why couldn't I get myself to call him? I didn't want to, though at the same time I wanted to. It was just too hard. It was especially hard because I didn't want to call him. I liked him. He was amazing and fun and normally I'd call him in a second. So why didn't I want to call him? Why was the only thing I could think about the words Alice said? About me liking Edward, about me having to find out soon. I wasn't so sure anymore that I hated him. I wasn't sure I liked him or not, because that one night I saw him without his shirt on him, that was a good night. And then I saw his smile. His beautiful, dazzling smile. The smile that always made me forget how to breathe. Single quote. I lay there on my bed for an hour, thinking about what to do. In the end, I came up with one conclusion, and it wasn't a very good one. I would go to school tomorrow, hang with Alice, don't talk to Jessica, I wouldn't call Jacob, and at school, I would act normal to Edward. That's my plan. Told you, it's not good. Bella, I heard Charlie's voice. There's someone on the phone for you. I walked downstairs, thanked Charlie and took the phone. Bella, it's Jessica. You have some explaining to do. BPOV. Oh, hey Jessica, what's wrong? What's wrong? Are you kidding me? You have to ask me what's wrong. You should know, Bella. I had absolutely no idea what she was talking about. Jessica could be nice, but sometimes I just wanted to throw her out of my life. I sighed. No, I have no idea, Jessica. Please, tell me. I rolled my eyes at saying that. I just wanted to hang up the phone and crawl in my bed. I was so tired thinking about Edward did that to you. Seriously, Bella. Well then, you can start by explaining why you were at Edward's house the other night. Don't act like you weren't there. I saw you. Why was that, Bella? Do you like hurting me? Is that what this is about? She almost yelled at me. I had to hold the phone a little away from my ear. Geez, Jess, relax a little. I wasn't there for Edward, I was there for his sister, Alice. She's an old friend of mine, who I haven't seen in years. That doesn't matter, Bella. You were there. What did you do? Huh? You seduced him. Ah, I knew you would do that. Tell me he's the most awful guy you ever met and then go flirt with him around my back. I knew you would, but he didn't want you, right? He probably just wanted me. Okay, now she crossed a line. I could take a lot, seriously, but this was way too much. You know what, Jessica? If you would just open your stupid ugly eyes, you would see that I don't want Edward. And maybe you'd realize that Edward certainly doesn't want you, Jessica. I told you a million times, but you'd never listen to me. He doesn't want you, Jessica. He doesn't like you. You're just being pathetic, going after him like that. Pushing yourself to him. Jessica didn't say anything. Oops, maybe I'd been a little too mean. I sighed. I'm sorry, Jess, I didn't mean it like that. No, you did. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Bye, Bella. And then she hung up. I rolled my eyes and sighed. Wow, that was another cheerful conversation. Like I haven't had enough of that over the weekend. I'm going to bed. Cha, Dad. He looked away from the TV and gave me a little smile. Okay, Bella, sleep well. I went upstairs and quickly went to bed. I was so tired, I needed sleep. Otherwise I couldn't face Edward tomorrow. Thankfully, Alice would be there, too. I smiled as I remembered that. I couldn't remember falling asleep. I just woke up. Of course, the first thing I saw was the rain. I sighed. What was wrong with sunshine? Why did there always have to be rain? I walked to the closet, picking out some random clothes. I looked okay, I guess. I went downstairs and ate breakfast. I could feel I was a little nervous, but I couldn't imagine why. I grabbed my jacket and walked to my car. I started the car, but I could still feel the nerves. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself, even though I didn't even know what I was calming myself for. I drove to school, still wondering why I was so nervous. I couldn't tell. That frustrated me the most. But as soon as I got out of my car, I knew it. I saw Edward getting out of his silver Volvo and I could feel my nerves getting worse. I tried to take a deep breath, but that didn't help. Why was I so nervous to see him? I couldn't stand him. I hated him. I couldn't care less about what he thought. And yet here I stood watching Edward, feeling more nervous than I had ever been in my life. But when I saw Alice getting out of the car I sighed in relief. I smiled and waved at her. She smiled back and walked to me. Bella, Alice. We greeted. She gave me a hug. It felt so good being around her again. It's good seeing you here at school, Alice. She laughed. Well, it's good being here, actually. And I've got good news. Well, good news for me. Jasper is actually coming to school here. He said he would do that, for me. I smiled. Wow, Alice, that's great. We walked to the school. The raining had stopped for a few minutes and she told me all about the conversation she and Jasper had. He had to go home again, go to school. But he said he didn't want to, and she told him she didn't want him to go. One thing led to another and he said he would stay. Alice, it's wonderful. He's really sweet. Alice had a huge smile on her face, but I could understand. I would be that happy too, if I had such a boyfriend. Well, I better get to my class. Too bad we don't have any classes together, Alice. I used my pouty face and she had to laugh about that. Yeah, too bad, Bella. But I'll save you a seat at lunchtime. You know I'll beat you there. Probably. I agreed. We hugged each other once more and then we both went to class. I was half asleep the whole time till lunchtime. Jessica and I didn't say a word the one class we had together. Finally, lunchtime. I quickly went to the cafeteria. As soon as I opened the doors, I searched for Alice, but I couldn't see her. Hey Bella, I heard a voice say behind me and I turned around. Emmett. Hey, I said with a smile. Edward the first hated, but the rest of his family I liked. I heard about Jasper coming here. Will his sister follow his lead? I said and winked at him. Luckily, yes, both Jasper and Rosalie will come to school here. Emmett had a huge grin on his face. Ah, that's great, Emmett. I only watched the people in the cafeteria for a second, but I could see that everyone was looking at me and Emmett. Probably because he was one of the most popular guys in school and I wasn't. Popular, I mean, so I guess a lot of people were wondering why he and I were talking. Especially a certain girl who called me last night. Anyways, have you seen Alice? We're supposed to have lunch together, I told him. Well, I believe she's sitting at our table. Wanna join us? He asked. I turned my head and it turned out he was right. I saw Alice sitting there with all of Emmett and Edward's friends. But I didn't see Edward. I smiled. Sure. And I followed him to his normal table and sat next to Alice. Everyone, this is Bella. Bella, everyone. They all smiled and nodded at me. Hey, I said, blushing like you wouldn't believe. I looked around and saw that everyone was still staring at me. Great. EPOV. I walked in the cafeteria, heading straight for our usual table. But halfway there I froze. Bella, at my table. What was she doing there? I took a deep breath and walked to them. Hey guys, I said, and sat down at my spot. EDDIEE. They all yelled. Sure, whatever. I looked around the table, something wasn't right. Normally, the guys all checked the girls out and were laughing loudly, daring me to ask one out. Why didn't they do it now? But then I noticed, they were all too busy staring at Bella. I should have known. That girl looks too gorgeous for her own good. Of course, the guys never noticed her, as shy and quiet as she always is in class. But now that they saw her, of course they were going crazy about her. She was the most beautiful girl you'll ever see. Bella was talking to Alice. Apparently it was a funny conversation since they were laughing 80% of the time. I turned to Emmett and rolled my eyes. He laughed at that. So Eddie, my man, who's the lucky girl you're going out with tonight? Someone said and I wanted to hit him. Hit him hard. Why did he have to bring that up? Everyone looked at me now. No one, actually. Don't have anything planned for tonight. I said, trying my best to not look at Bella. But I could catch glimpses of her face. I think she couldn't care less about who I went out with. But that was the point. I wanted her to care. What? No date. Man, we gotta change that. Everyone looked around, trying to find another girl I should go ask out. Hey, some other guy said, why don't you ask Bella over here? The guy looked at her in a way that I didn't approve of. Stay away from my Bella. Yeah, Edward, why don't you? Oh God. I looked at Bella, her face in shock. Oh, EPOV. Okay, so this wasn't exactly how I pictured myself asking Bella out. It would have been a little less crowded. And when I was dreaming about me asking her out, Emmett and Alice were both never there, nor my friends, and she wouldn't look as shocked as she did right now. Come on, guys, I tried to talk to them, knowing they wouldn't listen. I've never ever told them I wouldn't ask a girl out. They all looked at me, waiting for me to make my move. I could see Josh, one of my friends, looked at me impatiently. I understood why. It was an unwritten rule that no guy ever dated a girl I hadn't dated. I don't know why. They just didn't. If they liked this girl, they always waited until I went out with them. I guess it was about the fact that the girls they always liked apparently always liked me. So they couldn't date them, until they were over me. Guys could be really stupid. I saw Emmett shake his head from the corner of my eyes. He knew too, that this was going to be a disaster. I looked at Alice, searching for her reaction. She looked at me, quickly shook her head and looked away again. Okay, so I shouldn't ask her out, but how was I going to get out of this? Actually guys, I don't think Bella's available anymore. She's seeing this guy, Alice said. What? Bella, and that guy, they were a couple. I couldn't even feel relieved about the fact that now I didn't have to ask her out anymore. I just felt sad, I guess. A little mad, too. I had waited too long. And now I didn't have a chance anymore. I sighed. Wow, I couldn't believe how much I hated to hear this. I couldn't bear this. I needed some air. A guy, really? Josh asked. I rolled my eyes. Of course, Josh would be a little jealous of the tall guy, even though he never met him, and he only knew Bella for like 5 minutes. But I could understand why, though. Bella was an amazing person. She was smart and funny, adorable, really cute, and she looked gorgeous. And that was an understatement. But I bet she'd dump him for Edward. Josh said. Josh, just because you want to date the girl doesn't mean she'll dump her current boyfriend. Emmett said wisely. I didn't thank Emmett enough. He really was a nice guy. That's totally not the point. Josh started, but everyone ignored him. Nobody ever took him seriously. I would have felt sorry for the guy, except that he was trying to make a move on my Bella. And I didn't like that. Bella and Alice exchanged a quick glance, but I couldn't understand what they meant with it. That was one thing about Bella, you never knew what she would do next. You never knew what she would say or think. It bugged me a little that I never understood her, but it was also one of the things that made her so amazing to me. That and her adorable clumsiness. I fought a smile at that though. The thought of me catching her when she tripped again. The adorable blush on her face after it. I was so busy thinking about Bella and trying not to look her in the eyes, that I didn't even notice the bell ring. But when Emmett got up, saying he needed to go to class, I got that I had to go, too. I felt a little sad, realizing I wouldn't be able to ask Bella about Jacob. Until I remembered I had biology, the class one shared with Bella. We were actually partners. I would sit with her for a whole hour. Now I couldn't fight my smile, and a huge grin appeared on my face. What's so funny, man? Someone asked. I didn't even notice who asked me that. I barely heard someone speak the words. Oh, nothing, I said as I walked away. When I entered the class, Bella already sat at the table we shared these days. She was focused on writing in something that lay on the table so she didn't notice me. I took a deep breath and walked to her. I needed to know more about the tall guy. What was his name again? Hey, Bella, I said and tried to smile as friendly as possible. But it was hard, because all I wanted to know about was the guy Alice had mentioned, and I didn't know if Bella was about to share anything about them. Oh, hey, she said, and she gave me a weak smile. Well, at least it was something. Listen, Bella, I'm really sorry about lunch. Those guys, they shouldn't have acted that way. I'm sorry. Oh, that's okay Edward, it's not your fault. The way she pronounced my name, it felt so good to hear. I wish she would feel the same way about me. Would she like it if the tall guy said her name? Would she feel this way too? Probably not. I was the only one this crazy. Well, no, it wasn't my fault. But still, I feel bad about it. Seriously, Edward, don't. It doesn't matter. It wasn't that bad. I raised one eyebrow. She couldn't be serious. Because it was that bad. I was there. I saw her face. Okay, it was. But it's not your fault. Forget about it. Again, she gave me a weak smile. Would she smile to the tall guy, and really mean it? Would she smile because she was actually happy? I hoped so. I'd rather she smiled at me because she was happy, but the main thing was that she was happy. That's what it's all about. I was getting nowhere with this. I was getting more curious by the minute. I needed to ask her the question. I was dying here. So anyway, it's good to hear that you and the guy who visited us, this weekend are a couple now. Is that right? BPOV. I could feel myself blushing. Why did he ask me this? Of course, he was curious. He'd been there with us at lunch. But he should have known better. I hardly knew Jacob. You mean Jacob? I asked. Of course he meant him. I knew that. I just needed to prepare myself for what I was telling him. Would I stick to Alice's story? Or would I tell him the truth? I should lie. If I didn't, maybe he'd tell his friends. And I didn't want that. Otherwise tomorrow would be the same. Would it? Would he say anything to his friends? I didn't know. A week ago, I would have thought that. But now he was different. He wasn't the guy the first thought he was. Or maybe he was, and he was just acting last week. Maybe he had his mind set on hurting me again. I should lie. I really should. But deep inside, I didn't want to lie. I wanted to tell him the truth. That of course Jacob and I weren't dating. How could I be dating anyone but who? I didn't allow myself to finish that sentence, even in my mind. I didn't want to think about it. Yes. I believe his name's Jacob. Anyway, congratulations, or something that's similar to that word. Jacob and I are not together. I blurted out. Dang. I wanted to hit myself. Dang. Stupid. Now I couldn't talk your way out of it. Now I had to stick to it. I hated myself right now. And I hated Edward for asking me about it. And I hated his friends for even suggesting Edward should ask me out. No, he asked as he both raised his eyebrows. Of course not. I hardly know him. I don't know what kind of girl you think I am, but I am certainly not that kind of girl. I know I sounded mad, but I was. Okay, I wasn't mad at him, or just a little. But mainly, I was mad at myself. No, Bella, that's not what I meant. It's just, well, I don't know. Alice said it, so I just thought she was right. I hardly gave it any thought. I sighed. Why did that bother me? It shouldn't have bothered me. It was a good thing he didn't think about that. Otherwise he might have asked me out. And I was terrible at saying no. I couldn't say no with everyone staring at me. Good thing Edward didn't know that. Okay, this was getting way too complicated. Never mind, Edward, it doesn't matter. Well, then answer this. If you're not dating Jacob, why did Alice say you are? I blushed again. Wasn't that obvious? Duh, so you wouldn't have to ask me out. Why didn't Alice want me to ask you out? He asked. Oh, he's good. I had to lie. This time, I had to. If I told him I was going to say yes, things were gonna get ugly. Real ugly. Well, because she knew I was going to, don't take this the wrong way, say no. And she wouldn't want you to embarrass yourself in front of your friends. Why does Alice care? He asked. Dang, he was really good. How would I be able to answer this normally? She's your sister, Edward. Believe it or not, but sometimes family members support each other. I told him, as if I knew anything about it. Really? He asked, again raising one eyebrow. Then why hasn't she ever done that in the past? Why did Alice have to be so mean to him in the past? Now what am I going to say? Geez Alice I don't know. I stuttered eventually. That sounded charming. Wow, I was very good at embarrassing myself in front of him. I deserve a medal or something. Maybe there were championships in embarrassing yourself. I should definitely enter one of those. I bet I would win. Bella, he said, a huge grin appearing on his face. I'm just kidding. And then he smiled and turned his face away. Yeah, I knew that. I lied. Of course he was joking. Wasn't he always? So are you going to sit with us at lunch again tomorrow? Or did you hate it so much, you'll never want to sit there again? I could understand that, you know, better than you think. I tried to laugh, but I was too nervous. It was his fault, he was completely freaking me out. Well, I don't know. That depends, I said, trying to be mysterious. Depends on what? Well, I'm planning to sit with Alice, so it just depends on whether Alice is going to sit with you. I don't know if she will. I don't know either. Edward sighed, sounding I don't know. There was an emotion in his voice that I couldn't explain. But I really hope she will. BPOV. The hour went by really fast. Before I knew it, the bell rang and Edward and I got up and packed our bags. So, another study session this afternoon. I asked him carefully. I didn't want to ask him, afraid that he'd say no and reject me. But I needed to ask him. I didn't know why, but I wanted to spend the afternoon with him again. Oh no, Bella, this isn't right. Stop it. You don't like him that way. I saw the doubt on his face. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have asked him. He didn't want to spend his free afternoon with me. Of course not. Well, I don't know, Bella, he said. I felt the urge to smack my head against a wall. It's not that I don't want to, honestly, it's just that, well, we can't do it at my place. And I don't know if you ever want to bring me to your place again. He said the last sentence a little more quiet. A little embarrassed. Okay, Edward, in my house. I didn't know if that was such a great idea. It just felt weird, him being there. I didn't know what to do. On the one hand, I didn't want him near my house. He shouldn't be there, not after what he did to me. But on the other hand, I wanted him to be there. I wanted him to come. For some reason that I couldn't explain, I wanted to be with him today. So why wouldn't I say yes? Of course he could come. Sure, Edward, we could study at my place. His face didn't change as I said that. I think he didn't believe me. But only if you want, of course. I mean, you don't have to. I just thought that maybe, you know, it would be nice to study together. Because, well, you're really smart and I'm not. So maybe, I don't know, you want to help me. Or something like that. Again, I wanted to smack my head against a wall. What was I babbling about? But Edward gave a fantastic, beautiful, dazzling smile and I forgot all about my worries. Sure then, we'll go to your place. You need a ride or something? Yes, if you're offering, I said. Well, what was I gonna do? Take the bus home. As the matter of fact, I am. Again, he gave me a smile. I'll see you then, Bella. Bye. He walked away. I sighed in relief and walked to the gym. Great. One final hour. And then, my free afternoon with Edward. I didn't know why I liked this so much, but I did. Maybe Alice was right, maybe I did like him. No, I didn't. He just was nicer than I thought, that's all. I remember the biology study sessions we had the past week, and he was always really sweet. And funny, sometimes unintentionally, like when he sent away Jessica, when she totally forced herself to him. That was pretty hilarious, and he didn't even plan on being the tiniest bit funny. In the whole picture, he wasn't nearly as much of a jerk as I always pictured him to be. I found that I actually liked him. We could be friends. Well, we could have been friends, if we haven't already been that in the past and he hadn't totally hurt me like that. Then we could have been the best of friends. But now, I didn't know if we could. I mean, I really liked him. And I was kind of hoping he liked me too. And that was one of the most ridiculous things I have ever thought in my head. And there have been some pretty stupid thoughts going on in my head. But it was true. Something inside me wanted nothing more than for Edward to like me. And it was ridiculous and it was stupid and it didn't make sense. But that was how I truly felt. Gym was horrible, as always. But it was even worse because I was thinking about Edward the whole time. We had to play tennis. Of course Mike offered to be my partner, and when I actually tried to hit the ball, I missed it and the ball smacked my head, and my racket flew out of my head, against the head of my gym teacher. Yeah, it hurt, but finally when gym was over, I quickly dressed myself and walked outside. I could see Edward standing there, looking absolutely breathtaking. I took a deep breath and walked to him. EPOV. When I saw Bella walking towards me, I quickly stood up straight. I smiled as she got closer to me. She wasn't more than a few steps away now. Almost. Hey Edward. Oh God. No please not. Not now. Not her. So, Edward, I saw you at lunch today. You know what was weird? Bella sat with you there. She did her fake laugh. I couldn't even see Bella because of her. I think Bella didn't want to be here, and she was right. When would she ever go away? She was only here for 5 seconds and I already wanted to hit this girl on the head with a hammer. You know, tomorrow you could just sit with us, too. It would be a lot of fun. That could be your spot from now on. As if. Jessica. Wow. Long time no see. Alice. I loved that woman. Seriously, I should give my family some better credit. Oh, Alice. Hey. Yeah, we didn't see each other in a while. She gave Alice a quick, weak smile and then turned to me again. So, Edward, what do you think? She completely took me by surprise. Well, you know I already have this spot, you know. With well you know. Oh, Jessica said, a little disappointed. But she quickly pulled her normal, happy face back together again and gave me a huge smile. Well, if you change your mind, you're still welcome. Then she made what I think was meant for flirting, move and shook her hair out of her face. Bye Edward, see you tomorrow. I nodded and tried to give her the tiniest smile, but I couldn't even manage that. However, when Bella walked to me, laughing harder than ever, I had to smile too. Don't you dare laugh at me, Bella. It's not funny. I tried to be serious, but something about her laugh completely made me laugh, too. She raised 2 eyebrows. Okay, maybe a little. But not that funny. Again, she looked at me with her eyebrows raised. Okay fine it was. But stop laughing now, I'll try. But it's hard. Then she turned to Alice, ignoring me for now. Hey Alice. Ooh, you noticed me too, have you? Alice said with a wink. They both laughed. I have, actually. But just this once, though. Don't expect it to happen again in the future. Anywho, Alice said, I was going to ask Edward if he could give me a ride, but I think he will be giving you one, won't he? Alice said in a playfully accusing tone. I'm sorry Alice, I said. Bella asked first. Alice gave me a pouty face, but she couldn't hold it for long before she totally laughed. It's okay. I'll take a ride with Emmett, or with whoever is taking a ride. She gave us one last smile. I better go find him. See you tomorrow Bella. Bye Edward. Bye Alice. See you tomorrow, Bella said, and then she turned to face me. Shall we go, or do you have something you should do? No, we can go. You ready? I asked. Bella nodded and walked to the door. Oh no she wouldn't. I raced her then and quickly opened the door for her. Oh, thanks. Bella said with a huge blush on her face. You're welcome. I got in the car, in the seat next to her. Before I started the car I looked at her, for just a second, but she looked so beautiful. Her hair curling around her face, falling over her shoulders. The blush on her cheeks, her lips a bit parted and her beautiful eyes were staring out the window. Let's go then. BPOV. We had been both quiet as we sat subsequent to each other in my automobile. I wanted to say something, but I couldn't think of any phrases. Bella, he asked. I felt something in my belly, which I attempted to disregard. Yes, I replied. I checked out him, looking ahead to him to inform me what he desired to invite, or say. However he failed to say a phrase. What's it, Edward? I liked the feeling of his call coming out of my lips. I desired to mention his name any other 1,000 times, but I am guessing he would have a look at me with his weird look and assume I used to be crazy. Never mind. He instructed me, and after that it turned into quiet again. He parked the auto at my residence and that I desired to get out. However again, Edward became one step in advance of me. He changed into already out of doors, walking to my door and he opened it simply as I desired to get out. Thank you once more Edward. I stated to him. I only mentioned his call because I desired to have the feeling again. The tickling feeling in my stomach when I said his name. It was a very good feeling, I couldn't surely describe it. You're welcome, Bella. He gave me a wide smile and I smiled back. I walked to the house and he observed me. Wanna come in? I requested. What? Ooh, how silly should one man or woman be? Reputedly, I ought to get this terrible. But I used to be guessing I can be ever more silly while I used to be round Edward. Seriously, to ask these kind of things. Edward laughed a touch. I used to be kind questioning I wanted to come in, yeah. However, in case you have been making plans on doing biology here outside within the rain, we ought to do this, too. I smiled a bit, however I felt my face getting even extra crimson via the second. No, simply, I desired to do our homework interior. Suitable, he said. Then we agree. And he smiled again. I opened the door and we both walked inside. So, allows start biology. He stated the sentence adore it become a question, like he wanted my approval. Like he wanted me to disagree, announcing I failed to need to do any schoolwork. And I realized I failed to. But I wasn't going to say that, of course, he turned into here to do biology and not anything extra. I showed him my room and we went to work, not speaking about something however school. However, after some time we each got a bit bored with college. I suppose we want a break. Edward sighed, as I couldn't give him any answers anymore. Yeah, I assume we're in determined want of spoil. I agreed, and he laughed a little. We headed downstairs and went to the dwelling room. I got us something to drink and then sat at the chair. I wasn't planning on sitting next to him at the couch. So your dad is at work, right? He asked me. I nodded. Yeah, however he's going to be home in about an hour. Okay, Edward stated. So, in which is your mom? In Jacksonville. My mom and dad were given divorced. His eyes widened a touch, out of surprise. Oh, I'm so sorry. While did they? Well, a long time in the past. Oh, he said. I wasn't making plans on telling him. It turned into only some months after he started to ignore me. Properly, I'm truly sorry. In no way thoughts. I am over it. He nodded. Nonetheless, he said. I am sorry that I wasn't there for you. He checked out me, his eyes full of compassion, and my eyes got a bit watery. Thanks, Edward. I gave him a tiny smile, the excellent I used to be capable of proper now. He changed into in order that exceptional. That made it so hard for me to hate him. But, did I hate him? I thought about that for a second. But I did not hate him. I discovered that I really favored him. Edward, concentrate. I am sorry about closing week. I used to be being definitely unfair to you and I was simply suggest. I am sorry. Edward shook his head. What? He desired me to be suggest. No, Bella, you weren't being unfair. I got what I deserved. You have tove been plenty worse. I clearly got it easy. He gave me a tiny smile. I sighed a bit. Thank you, Edward. For what? He requested, a little amazed. For being so sweet. EPOV. Bella became continually the person who blushed, and she blushed once more after she stated that. Oh, well, it changed into my delight. I said. She laughed a little. In case you ever want a person who is excellent to you, you can continually come to me. I promise, I won't disappoint you. She laughed once more. Thank you, Edward. Equal here. That amazed me a bit. Wow, she could in reality be great to me. I suggest. She was the sweetest, most caring man or woman I have ever recognized, but to me. Became she certainly able to forgiving me. It seemed find it irresistible, but still, I shouldn't attention all my hopes on something that changed into way too much to ask. Thank you, Bella. We both laughed, no longer loud, even though it wasn't funny. I was just giggling out of pure happiness. If I laughed too loud, Bella could assume I used to be this crazy individual, constantly guffawing. So I didn't snigger too loud. Then I sooner or later were given how bizarre it was for me to even reflect on consideration on how I used to be guffawing. What did that count? Apparently, it mattered a little to me now. I could not bear in mind once more I clearly concept approximately the manner I was laughing. So, are you glad Alice is back? Bella requested. Nicely. Yeah, I suggest. She is my sister. And of course I really like her. Bella smiled. She turned into happy. Alice changed into returned, too. I ought to tell. Plus, she appears to be extremely beneficial. The way she bumped off Jessica nowadays, it turned into simply high quality. Bella and that I laughed again. Yeah, you should be very grateful she's lower back. Otherwise you'd in all likelihood nonetheless be status there, speaking to Jessica. Bella said playfully. Properly. Would not you store me, then? I requested. From Jessica. Of path not. I cannot deny my friend to have a talk with the love of her lifestyles. Bella stated, and she winked. She winked. That became one of a kind. But I liked it. Nicely. It really is a little genuine, I bet. However, what about me? Oh, you're not crucial. Bella said, and she laughed. I joined her. We both looked at every other, and I looked her deep in her eyes. She became so stunning. Too beautiful. Different guys could observe how beautiful she is, they could ask her out and she or he would say yes. I saw that hundreds of my pals had been interested by her. I may want to see that very without problems, the way they checked out her at lunch. However, I could not endure the notion of Bella going out with my pals. Going out with every person, however, me for that rely. I must do some things soon. I might have to do extra than this if I ever desired to be with Bella. Appearance. Bella, do you need to come over this Friday night time? We should all watch a film, with Alice and Jasper, Emmett, Rosalie. I suggested. I was hoping she would say sure. Yeah, that would be fun. Bella stated, and I could not assist, however, smile. EPOV. Friday night time. Movie night. Bella might be right here in an hour. Once I advised Alice, Jasper, Emmett and Rose approximately this night, they were all honestly enthusiastic. They selected the best movie, and rearranged the furnishings, in order that it became very probably Bella and I'd be seated next to every different. Bella probable hadn't found out what me and my circle of relatives did, that there would be 3 couples. Nicely, 2 couples who have been already head over heels in love, and one I used to be very a great deal hoping to be in love quickly. Alice and Jasper could want to take a seat subsequent to every different, as would Emmett and Rose. This is why Rose and Alice put couches in one massive chair. And I was really making plans on putting Bella on the couch subsequent to me. I should see why Emmett and Jasper were supportive, they knew how plenty I liked Bella. However, I could not recognize why the ladies had been so best. I should most effective hope Jasper and Emmett didn't inform them. It was weird if they knew. Perhaps they simply had this concept they might fix me and Bella up. Typically, I might hate that, but this time, I wasn't going to complain. Edward, are you there? Alice waved her hand in the front of my face, staring at me impatiently. Apparently, I had missed something. I shook my face to wake me up a bit. Sorry, Alice. What time's Bella coming? Alice asked, nodding at the clock. I said, additionally looking at the clock. In half of an hour. Alice, face was complete of surprise. What? She checked out me as though she changed into waiting for an evidence. She's coming in 1/2 an hour. Edward, you can have instructed us. We still have hundreds to do. I wager the men will have to help us then. I heard painful moans from Jasper and Emmett, as though helping the women would kill them. Jasper, Alice asked in her candy voice. She didn't apply it to everybody but Jasper, and he could not resist it. I'm so sorry, however, could you please get a few bowls from the kitchen after which fill them with the chips I already put on the counter? She looked at Jasper and blinked together with her eyes sometimes, making her request surprisingly candy and pretend. Jasper groaned. Nice, but you owe me. After which Alice stated something I myself did no longer want to know. I recognize. I'll make it even this night. I heard Emmett wince a little, too. We did not need to listen what our sister and her boyfriend do of their free time. Rose turned into Jasper's sister, however reputedly she did not find this observation as terrible as me and my brother. She in all likelihood heard one or testimonies. Jasper and Alice have become a little too close in case you ask me, whispering little matters to every different. I failed to want to look the details, so I compelled myself to go to the kitchen to convey the liquids to the residing room. Jasper observed me and took the bowls and the chips. Alice changed into asking for. Nervous. Jasper requested me, like you wouldn't consider. I sighed. I have in no way been nervous earlier than. In no way. It is so bizarre. How to remove it? Dude, I'm sorry, but you can't. Plus, it is a part of the revel in. The falling in love factor, or whatever. We needed to chuckle. You sound like my mom, Jasper. And it's scary. He gave me a tiny push and that I again it. Oh, man, we should get returned, otherwise Alice could be frustrated and then tonight. Jasper, I do not need to listen about you and my sister's private existence, K. I may want to see he turned into attempting difficult to hold his laughter, however he managed to do not anything greater than grin. "Okay, Edward," he said, after which fast walked away. Subsequently, what had been you guys doing in there? Alice walked toward us and grabbed the drinks out of my hand. "It took you lengthy enough," she delivered, but then grew to become to Jasper and smiled at him before turning around. "Why does she like you and now not me?" I requested. "I concept you didn't need to pay attention about our non-public life," Jasper joked. I rolled my eyes and sat down on the sofa. "Alice, you may kick back, we are just going to observe a film, okay?" "Oh please, Edward, like you are not extraordinarily excited about tonight." I laughed a touch. Unfortunately, I should trust her. But of Path, how might she recognize that? The subsequent 15 minutes, I just walked across the residence like a zombie, completely ignoring every person around me. Yes, I was that worried. I did not note anything, until Alice ran through the hallway, stopping me on my way to, I suppose, the kitchen. "Hello, you have ears, do not you?" It is probably a nice concept to use them. On the grounds that I had no concept what she was speaking approximately, I simply gave her a glance. The doorbell. "Bella's right here. Now, you go into the kitchen to get a few stuff. I will open the door, lead her to the dwelling room, after which you may are available, being appropriate. And please, please, please don't be the moron you continually are with women." When you consider that I could not say something to that, it was an excessive amount of to take in just seconds, so I simply walked to the kitchen, as Alice requested, and tried to locate something I should take with me to the dwelling room. I quietly walked to the door and listened to Alice and Bella. It became essentially them simply saying howdy, however something in Bella's voice made me listen more difficult. I wanted to pay attention what she was announcing, I wanted to pay attention Bella. After waiting a while, I grabbed a bottle of water and took it with me to the residing room. There she become. I recognize this appears like overreacting, but I'm now not. Bella's honestly that beautiful. Good day Bella. Proper to look you. How are you? I ought to see Bella blushing a bit. I hope that is an amazing signal. BPOV. I may want to feel my cheeks getting warmer. Oh no. Edward, howdy. It's right to see you too, even though we simply noticed every other this afternoon. I laughed, and so did the rest in the room. But I'm quality. You. Edward simply smiled and nodded. Come on slow people, are we gonna watch a film or now not? Rose requested impatiently, and me and Edward each laughed. Satisfactory. Rose. Come on, permits watch. Everybody sat down as Edward saw that. Rose and Emmett both sat in this giant chair, Rose almost on Emmett's lap. Alice and Jasper sat on this sofa. And, how wonderfully, I stopped up next to Edward. I wondered if this became some kind of plan of Alice and Rose. Yeah, that became likely proper. As the film began, I did not say whatever. I just watched the film. They picked a without a doubt horrifying one. I generally do not simply like horror movies, but this time I simply concentrated on the movie. I didn't need to think about the fact that Edward, the maximum good-looking guy all of us is ever visible, becomes sitting proper next to me, barely touching my arm with his, making that region tickle a little, out of excitement maybe. Due to the fact I was definitely concentrating on the movie, I additionally noticed how scary it became. Everyone changed into quiet, and at one factor I used to be so scared I shrieked a little and instinctively jumped and concealed my face on Edward's chest. I may want to experience anybody's eyes burning in my lower back, but at that moment I could not care less, approximately that. I felt glad, right here with Edward. He wrapped his hands around me in a protecting manner, and that I smiled. However, then I may want to see it became getting a little weird, because the frightening part changed into over now, and I was nonetheless in Edward's arms. So I quick sat up straight once more and persisted watching the film. It turned into most effective 5 minutes after that, after I felt Edward's hand on mine. In the beginning, all I should experience become exhilaration. I fast requested myself if he preferred me. However then, all that went via my head was confusion. Did I really like him? I suggest, yeah, we had been form of pals right now. However, might I want more than that with him? Might he need that, or did he simply think I was a friend? But, if he did like me extra than just a friend, might he exit on a date with me once, and then pass on to every other woman, similar to he did to all those different girls from our college? I could not locate the answers to my questions and it drove me mad. I had to get out of right here. Excuse me. I ought to visit the toilet. I stated, and walked away as rapid as I should, without walking. She walked away so speedy, that I questioned why she wasn't on our strolling group. And then I realized how clumsy she become and thought it turned into a miracle for her to most effective ride 2 times on her manner out, which changed into what she did. Changed into it about me. Did I scare her off? I should understand why, if that changed into the case. But she put her head on my chest. And here she didn't whinge when I positioned my fingers round her. Or turned into that just because she turned into scared. That turned into feasible. I could see Alice, Rose, Emmett and Jasper searching at me. What? I asked. I used to be annoyed sufficient as it's far, I failed to need them staring at me. What did you do? Alice demanded. If I had been her, I probably might need to recognize that too. I already desired to understand that already. I didn't need to be Alice to want that. Yeah, Edward, you have to smell in reality horrific for her to run away that fast. I rolled my eyes at Emmett for saying that and grew to become to Alice. Severely Alice, I don't know. Perhaps she sincerely has to go to the toilet. Yeah right Edward, you desire. It changed into about you and we all now that. Did I point out how much I cherished Rosé? She became always so sincere, and she introduced her ideas sincerely pleasant. No longer. Okay guys, enough. Let the man rest. He's in all likelihood frightened. Allow us to keep looking the film and allow Edward by myself along with his mind. Thanks Jasper, I stated, and he nodded. After that, each person allow me by myself and watched the movie. However I realized how lengthy it took Bella. She turned into away for nearly 10 minutes now. Men, Bella's been long past for some time now. All people else agreed with me and informed me I ought to take a glance. Which I did. I left the others to the film and walked upstairs, to the rest room. I knocked on the door, however Bella didn't solution. The door wasn't locked, so I opened it and discovered Bella sitting at the ground, tears going for walks over her face. She seemed up to me and tried to smile a touch. She whipped away her tears. Bella, what's incorrect? I sat down next to her on the ground. Nothing, she replied, like I used to be going to consider that. Seriously Bella. What is it? I am no longer sure I'm able to let you know. Okay, if she desired to make me curious, she succeeded. Bella, you can inform me something. She wrapped her palms around her knees in a shielding manner. I should see she wanted to tell me. She truly did, however she didn't inform me. It is simply, she seemed away from me, now looking on the floor. It's just that I do not know something anymore, Edward. I think I sincerely such as you however I don't know I have no concept about you. And you're making me so fearful and make me experience so weird and it is no longer proper. I want it to prevent and that I do not need it to prevent. But I can't such as you, and that I do. And that I do not want to, but I can't help it. As I took in a lot of these words which took me some time, because I could not consider them Bella began blushing and seemed embarrassed. I'm sorry. She stated, I didn't imply to tell you all that, just forget about it. No, I do not want to forget about it Bella. However what do you mean you cannot like me? Nothing Edward, in no way thoughts. No Bella, inform me. She was unsure whether to tell me or no longer. I should see that during her face. Nicely, you usually date loads of women. But you in no way, ever pass on a couple of date. You have by no means done that. And I am positive, if you like me and in any respect, which you do not, that you will do this with me too, and then I'll become a few form of second Jessica. I laughed, but no longer because it was funny. Bella, I do like you. I like you so much like you wouldn't believe. Of root I wouldn't dump you after one date. You won't be some type of second Jessica. First, due to the fact I won't sell off you. And second, due to the fact you're not anything like her. You are plenty smarter, funnier, and you are so beautiful, which she is not. She checked out me now. You don't imply that. Of course I do Bella. I may want to in no way misinform you. And that is when she kissed me. EPOV. My first kiss with Bella. Wow. Turned into it exact. Without a doubt. Turned into it the whole lot I was hoping for. Clearly, even greater than that. Did I, for even 1 2D, reflect on consideration on the people downstairs. No way, but it truly is probable what I must have completed. Due to the fact Bella and I were nevertheless sitting on the bathroom floor, nevertheless kissing. Wow, that girl turned into top-notch and of route my family needed to cross upstairs and walk in to see if the whole lot's all right. Why couldn't they just go away me by myself? Whoa, so that is what you do all the time while you're running on biology. However, hey, you can not idiot us, bro. While Emmett stated this, he had a big grin on his face. Boy, turned into he wrong. I needed we'd try this all of the time. Besides, for the part of my family taking walks in on us, it really is not something I truly love to do all the time. Wander away, Emmett, I muttered, without a doubt wishing he might. However, instead of him leaving, Bella were given up. What? She wasn't the only I desired gone. She became the only I wanted with me. No, it is exceptional, Emmett. You could stay. And so can the rest of you. I have to go home anyway. It's getting virtually past due, and Charlie might be worried. Preserve on Bella, I'll walk you out. I got up to follow her, but she stopped me with her hand. You don't ought to, Edward. I'm able to discover my way out. What if I need to? I challenged, and Bella blushed a bit in her adoring manner. However, she did not stop me now. She just walked out of the rest room and went downstairs. I followed her, looking to ignore the looks my own family gave me. It turned into an awesome issue. Carlisle and Esme were gone tonight. Edward, I had a surely extremely good time this night. I smiled and cupped her face with my hand. Me too, Bella, and mechanically my face got toward hers, leaving little or no space between us. Just as I realized that I did not have any manipulate over myself and that I should turn away, Bella pressed her lips towards mine. And what become I gonna do? Push her away? Yeah, proper. She has way too plenty strength over me for that. So all I did was kiss her again. And that became about the spotlight of my day. Not anything should pinnacle this, besides perhaps the first one. Or to hear how she felt approximately me. But all of those things concerned Bella too. Then she pulled away. Bye, Edward, she stated mysteriously before she turned round and walked away. What became she going to go away me with this? With this feeling? Without pronouncing whatever extra, she couldn't do this. Bella, wait. I stuck her arm and spun her around so she faced me. Can we see every other once more this weekend? Before faculty begins again, I want to look you again. Bella nodded a bit. Yes, I notion it changed into. The next day, I requested, now not knowing if she'd actually said yes. High quality. Day after today. She replied. I sighed in remedy. Perhaps Bella and I may want to sooner or later be collectively. Shall I come by means of at your region? I suggested. I didn't recognize what she desired, but I did not care. She could come at my vicinity, if she wished. The best objection I should need to this is that my circle of relatives could in all likelihood all be on the door, listening to what we had been saying, or as an alternative, weren't announcing. Yeah, that's okay. However, ensure you don't get there a minute earlier than 1 o'clock. K. I bet, I replied. Why? I failed to know why she wanted me by using at exactly that time. Did she have a cause for that? Bella become continually a thriller to me. I never knew what to anticipate subsequent. Nicely, due to the fact Charlie goes fishing day after today and that I do not want to have to give an explanation for to him why there are guys coming over. Men, as in, plural. Bella rolled her eyes, as though that became this sort of bizarre idea. Of path no longer, but you get the idea, okay. This time, it changed into my turn to nod. Why wouldn't she inform her father approximately me? Became she embarrassed of me? I will see you day after today then. Bella stated, and smiled. I smiled too. It sounded good to me. I just desired to kiss her one more time before she left, which was precisely what I did. She failed to appear to item. Bye, Bella. BPOV. As I lay in bed, I idea about what took place this weekend. It turned into just an excessive amount of to manage. I certainly kissed Edward, and that I now found out that I had wanted that each one alongside. Alice were completely right approximately me, even though I couldn't see it. And Edward turned into actually the first-rate kisser ever. Yesterday, Edward came over. We had this genuinely amusing afternoon, talking to each different and giggling almost the entire time. We catched up a bit, mentioned stuff that passed off while he and I were not pals anymore. He particularly requested a lot approximately me, he hardly let me ask any questions. And the next day there would be college again. I needed to admit, I was sincerely frightened for the following day. The final time I was at college, all of us were questioning why I sat at the same desk as Edward, Emmett and his friends. Of direction, at that time I sat there due to Alice and a touch due to Emmett, but rarely each person knew. They'd all been in reality surprised of that. And now what could they say once they discovered out that Edward and that I were formally a couple now? I failed to recognize, however it probably would not be proper. Especially Jessica, that could be horrible. Edward's friends could probably be surprised too, seeing as how Edward by no means had a female friend. That's what he called me now. We talked about it the previous day. Well, no longer really talk. It was more like he asked me why I failed to want to introduce Charlie to my new boyfriend. Yeah, severely. So now, I used to be his girlfriend. Now not that I minded plenty. I clearly liked Edward, he become extremely good. And kissing him became out of this world. While I used to be taking into account his face, his voice, about the whole thing that worried Edward, I fell asleep. I took a deep breath. I failed to understand if I could do that. I did not see my friends, which became an alleviation. I might cope with them during lunch, that would be hard enough. I failed to want to peer them earlier than school started out. I used to be status in front of the school building on my own. Edward provided to give me a journey, however I said that it wasn't essential, I ought to pass to high school myself. I did not want the ordinary seams humans would supply me to begin at the start of my faculty day. If it became possible, I might communicate to them at lunch. The bell rang and I quickly walked to my first magnificence. I couldn't concentrate, and I could not awareness on what the trainer stated. The entire hour I used to be searching for phrases for my pals. How could I inform them? Jessica, oh Jessica, she might be virtually pissed. I suppose she'd kill me if she heard. Oh my, what became I going to do together with her? She was such a silly lady, I do not even know why we have become pals. And now I am caught with it. It went like that with each class one had until lunch. I still didn't recognize what to mention to Jessica, or absolutely everyone else for that depend, after I walked out of the school room. That changed into quite tons the best a part of my day. Edward became status there, looking ahead to me. Edward, I stated, now not too loud, of path, although everybody became already long past. Edward bent forward and gave me a kiss on my cheek. Howdy, love, how are you today? Edward gave me his magnificent smile and this time I enjoyed it. Once I realized I had appreciated Edward all alongside, each component have become clean. I just needed to be with him. I am exceptional, thanks. I'm truly extraordinary now. Come on, permits get some lunch. I moaned a touch, hoping he failed to pay attention me, however of direction he did. What's it Bella? Properly EHM, it's simply that, if we get lunch collectively, each person will type of observe that we're together. Properly, or at least suspect it, and my friends do not actually such as you, so they will think I am the most weird female alive, because 2 weeks in the past, I did not such as you. But of course, Jessica does such as you, however a little too much, if you question me. She's obsessed, and she or he will kill me if she finds out I am form of dating you. She won't like that. I wanted to take a deep breath to inform him extra, however he put his index finger on my lips. Bella, love, it'll be all proper. I might not allow Jessica kill you, and the rest will get over it. Our new might not be the number one information anymore if there is any new information. It'll prevent with time. Now, allow us to simply go get a few lunch. You need to be ravenous. I failed to say whatever. He just grabbed my hand, leading me to the cafeteria. However before he entered he grew to become to me. Your buddies don't like me? He asked. I let out a tiny snicker and rolled my eyes. However I didn't solution his query. He noticed that, too, however he simply went internal, nevertheless preserving my hand. I may want to already see a few appears in our route, however I tried my great to ignore them. I may want to see this changed into going to be difficult. But then one in all Edward's friends started shouting at him. Edward, dude, come get over here, you're past due. The complete table started guffawing, but now absolutely everyone within the room looked at us. I checked out Edward, he needed to guide me with this. I ought to already see his buddies, they were searching at us now, starting to comprehend what changed into occurring. First we were given some lunch. Edward acted like nothing became wrong, he became talking to me, giggling, telling tales. I simply went alongside. After that we walked to his everyday table. Significantly, if we were going to be together, we had to take turns sitting at tables, because my pals could be pretty pissed if I in no way sat with them anymore. Wow, Edward. You bought a brand new chick, a person said. I failed to understand his call, nodding his head toward me. He raised his eyebrows. Emmett started out guffawing, truly loud. He is humorous. He stated, this man's in reality funny. Except nobody, and I mean no one, were given the Shaggy Dog story. Emmett become guffawing approximately that hard. I guess it had something to do with him calling me a chick. Or perhaps Edward scoring me. Or anything. For the reason that Emmett knew, this wasn't the standard Edward. Or at least I hope it wasn't. Yeah, actual humorous, Edward commented, even though I used to be sure he failed to mean that. Honestly man, I need you to satisfy my new lady friend. All of us's mouth popped open. What? A extraordinary man stated. I used to be severely now considering giving the guys numbers. This one become going to be number 1. You heard the dude. Ah, I had my new variety. Of course, Emmett and Edward's call I'd take into account. So you're like, going to date her more than as soon as. Number 1 said. Everybody regarded in shock. Except of Root, Emmett. Dude, so which means I'm not gonna be able thus far her. Wide variety 3 introduced. I was blushing like Loopy now. I felt like a tomato. Now I know what they ought to be feeling like all of the time. No, Edward almost shouted. Thank God. I suppose he's a little possessive. However of Path, I did now not know for sure. Alice gave me a tiny punch in my facet. She have been silently guffawing all of the time. But now, she regarded dead serious. I regarded where she looked. Uh-oh, Jessica was coming. And no, she didn't look very happy. Bella, am I able to speak to you? Jessica demanded, in not a completely pleasant tone. BPOV. I gave Edward a little nudge against his arm. He turned around to face me and Jessica. Apparently, Edward was also a little shocked by seeing Jessica here. Hardly anyone dares to come to this table. Jessica, apparently, had no trouble doing so. Yes, of course you can talk to me, Jessica. Edward raised his eyebrows. I wished he understood what I meant by nudging him. He had to come save me if things went bad. Which, wouldn't be at all weird. Jessica told me that she wanted to talk to me in private. Duh, so I followed her outside, and waited for her anger. Jessica took a deep breath. Bella, I don't want to make the wrong accusations, so I'll just ask. Nothing personal, of course. But Bella, I know this sounds a little weird. She laughed a little, but it was definitely a fake laugh. But from where I was sitting, the place you should be sitting at, as well that you and, I'm sorry to say, Edward are actually dating. I know, you think I'm obsessed with him. And you and Alice are friends, not you and Edward the first no. But it really looked like it. I know it sounds stupid, but people were begging me to ask, especially Mike. I think he likes you, by the way. So I walked to you, to ask you, though I know your answer, but people were begging me, so I knew I had to ask. She said all this, really, all of that, with a huge smile on her face. I had to wait a few seconds, to let all of that in, before I could answer her. Actually, Jessica, I said, but I couldn't say the rest. Really, I wanted to, but I couldn't. Oh, not that sentimental stuff some people seem to have. You know, that they don't want to hurt the feelings of the person who's standing in front of them. I couldn't say it, because Jessica interrupted me. Really, I had said 2 words and she already freaked, guessing what I was going to say. You what? No, Bella. No, you didn't. I knew that you were at the Cullens because of Edward. I knew it. You lied to me, Bella. I tried to calm her. She was really upset. I should have expected this. But my guess was, this wasn't even half of what was to come. Jessica, calm down. Let me explain it to you. Bella, you can't explain anything to me. Bella, You're definitely the most hideous person I've ever met. Do you remember? Huh, telling me Edward would dump me. Remember that? Well, guess what, Bella? He's gonna dump you. He's done with you in a day. And what are you gonna do next? Then, huh? You're gonna pretend nothing happened. No way, Bella. No freaking way. She was yelling in my face right now. I know these words shouldn't hurt me. They really shouldn't, if you remembered where they were coming from. But they did hurt. All the things Jessica said, those were the things I was afraid of. I liked Edward a lot, but I was afraid he just saw me as another one of those girls. Tears were streaming over Jessica's face. I started to feel a little sorry for her. But this was the girl who'd been yelling at me for at least 5 minutes now. Bella, why did you do this? You knew. You knew how much I liked him. Jessica was a little out of breath now. Yeah, sorry girl, but that's what you get when you yell at a person like that. Why are you yelling at me, Jess? I could see Jessica was a little thrown off by my question. It came out of nowhere. I didn't know why I said something. I should have just let Jessica scream as long as it takes to let her calm down. What? She asked. Well, I started it, so I better finish it. I mean, why did you yell at me? Bella, are you kidding me? I'm yelling at you because you stole Edward away from me. He was my boyfriend. You stole him. Sure, that made sense. Because I always stole boyfriends before. I collect them. Jessica, come on. First, you know he wasn't your boyfriend. Yet, she murmured. I pretended I didn't hear her. Second, I didn't steal him, because, as I pointed out, Edward was not your boyfriend. Third, you shouldn't be yelling these things at me. You should yell them to yourself, for not seeing, not stopping, what was going on. Come on, Jess, this isn't my fault. Are you seriously trying to tell me this is all my fault? Yes, come on. Even if I planned to steal Edward away from you, which I didn't, and couldn't, as he wasn't your boyfriend. But even if I did that, wouldn't you think Edward sort of had to go along with it? Jessica apparently had to think about that. Oh, Bella, you know he's satisfied with every girl who throws at him. That's who he is. I can't blame him for that. Well, Jess, did you ever think that maybe that could be the reason he went out with you? Besides, what we have, it isn't like that. I wasn't only trying to convince Jessica, I was also trying to convince myself. Jessica, I don't even want to talk to you about this anymore. You can keep standing here, keep yelling all you want, but you know you're just mad at yourself, so yelling at me won't help at all. So keep yelling, but you can't yell at me anymore. That was when I walked away. I opened the door to the cafeteria, and walked inside again. I saw Edward's face looking directly at mine, and my lips formed a little smile. Jessica was really pissed. Huh. Edward put his arms around me and gave me a kiss on my forehead. I'm sorry, I should have gone out there, but Alice wouldn't let me. Edward shot a glance at Alice, who gave me an apologetic smile. Sorry, Bella, but I figured you should do this on your own, otherwise Jessica might yell at you again. I nodded. Alice was probably right. She always was. I know Alice, but I have a feeling she's still not done. And I know that girl, she has a lot of tricks. BPOV. The day went by pretty quick. Edward and I got stares everywhere we went together. The whole rumor had spread through the school and now everyone knew we were together. Great. That's just what I've always wanted. Every eye in the entire school looking at me. I admit, I hate the attention. It's something I really can't deal with. And being with Edward, well, then you get a lot of stares. Edward was pretty much the most popular person in school, and he never, ever dated someone more than once. So it was a pretty big deal that he now had a girlfriend. Mike was pretty shook up, I guess. I didn't even know why. But when biology was finished and Edward and I separated, since Edward had a different class than I did, Mike came to me and walked next to me to the gym. He started this very innocent conversation about how his parents needed more staff in their store and that he wanted to work there. I played along, knowing that this wasn't what he wanted to talk about. He wanted to talk about the thing everyone was talking about today, me and Edward. And after a while Mike finally reached the subject he wanted to talk about. So Bella, I noticed Jessica wanted to talk to you during lunch. What did she wanted to talk about? Like he didn't know. Of course he knew. Every single person in this entire school knew Jessica was madly in love with Edward. And the fact that she was one of my friends and I was now dating Edward, well, let's say anyone knew that there'd be trouble. Oh, you know, nothing serious. I simply answered. We both knew that wasn't true, so I didn't actually have to lie. But for some reason, I didn't want to tell him the truth. I noticed how Mike behaved a little nervous. He just had to ask me, though he probably didn't really want to. It was very likely that all my friends had told him to ask me all this, because everyone was too scared to ask me. And since they all wanted to know, someone had to ask. EHM, was it about you and EHM, your new boyfriend? He asked. You and Edward, I mean. He swallowed. Man, he really was nervous. Come on, he didn't have to be such a baby about it. It was just me. I wouldn't hit him or anything. I mean, is it true? Are you and Edward really a couple? His voice was now eager, and it sounded as if he was relieved. I hesitated for a moment. Should I lie? I really liked that option, though I knew I shouldn't. Edward and I were a couple. I shouldn't go around telling people that we aren't. Yes, it's true, I said to Mike, who looked shocked, though I couldn't blame him. His left hand drifted upwards to his chest, as if the words I said hurt him deeply. You and Edward. I don't believe it. I wondered if he was talking to me now, but I figured it was more directed at himself. You seriously like Edward? He asked, as if me liking Edward would be as weird as Santa riding on a tricycle through Forks, wearing a toga. Well, you better believe it, I said, because it's really true. Just then we came at the dressing room. Oh, I have to get dressed, I said and entered the girls' dressing room. I could feel eyes burning in my back. The girls ahead of me pretended as if they didn't look at me, which they totally did. But as soon as I passed them they gave me questioning looks. I think 9 out of 10 girls in this room had dated Edward once. So they all knew how amazing he was. Still, I was the only one so far that kept his interest. I quickly got dressed, not wanting to be in this room for long. Gym was a total disaster, as always. I tripped over the ball. We played soccer and managed to get the ball right into my face. I don't even know how I did that all by myself. But every hour passes, so when this one did, I ran for the dressing room and got dressed as fast as I could. I was almost done when the first other girls finally entered the dressing room. Again, they pretended not to look. I didn't even care about that anymore. I was all planning to go to my house the minute I left the gym, but apparently I was not allowed. Edward was waiting for me outside the gym. Bella, he said with a huge smile on his face. You were pretty quick, he added. I had to admit that I was. He had waited for me before when I had to go to his place to work on the project, but I probably had set a new record. That's how fast I was. Well, yeah, I answered. Then, realizing I hadn't even said hello to him yet, I did. Hey, a huge smile appeared on my face. I looked at him. And I mean really looked. He looked amazing. Not only did he wear the exact right clothes, he also looked really, well, happy. I would say that everyone who saw him would smile immediately. I didn't even ask you, he said. But would you want to do something with me this afternoon? He looked at me expectantly. How could I ever resist him? Yeah, absolutely, I answered. Want to go to my place? I asked, and I looked into his eyes. He was looking down at me with a smile. As I was looking at him, I was wondering why I hadn't always liked him. Right now, I couldn't imagine not liking him. Why wouldn't I? He was smart, funny and really sweet. And he was incredibly attractive. That was always a plus. Though the fact that every girl in school liked him was not a very good thing. What if he and I had a fight? There would be tons of girls supporting our breakup, and that would maybe push him over the edge. The fact that there were more beautiful girls willing to be his girlfriend. Yes, definitely a bad thing. Great, he answered. I totally forgot we were actually talking to each other. I guess the phrase, I got lost in his eyes really is true. Because that was definitely what I was doing. Getting lost in his eyes. Let me just ask Alice if she could drive my car to my place and then I'll come with you. He said. I nodded and smiled. Edward gave me a wink and then walked to his sister. I expected her to say yes, immediately. What I didn't expect, however, was that Jessica was walking to me. And she wanted to have a little conversation. This isn't over, Bella. She started. Wow. Straight to the point. I like that. Just because you and Edward are together doesn't mean that I give up. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. Of course she wouldn't give up. She wouldn't give up if he had a supermodel for a wife and 17 kids to be proud of. It might take me 3 days, or maybe 3 years, I don't care, she said. Oh whatever. Like I cared. But I'll make sure you and Edward will break up. Don't worry about that, she said. Or maybe do worry about that. I think I like that better. Then she walked away. Oh, my God, was that Jessica again? Edward asked. It was amazing having a boyfriend who knew everything about me and my friends. Yeah, she wanted to let me know how she's planning to break up the two of us in 3 years, I believe. Edward laughed. Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. He said. Come on, let's go. And so we did. He insisted on driving, though I repeatedly said that it was my car and that I had the most right to drive. He wouldn't let me though. So I ended up with him driving, and me sitting next to him in the front seat. We came at my place, Charlie was still at work, and we just went inside. I don't know who suggested it, but we turned on the TV. He put his arms around me and I put my head on his chest. Enjoying the moment. It didn't take long before his head went down slowly, his face coming closer to mine until finally his lips touched my lips. And that was when I felt utterly and completely happy. EPOV. Time with Bella passed quickly. Before I knew it, almost a month had passed. Jessica was ignoring Bella so far, which was a good thing, but I had this feeling there was going to come more. Like she hadn't really done the things she wanted to do. And knowing her, she didn't. She still had plans to break Bella and I up. Though I didn't think she'd succeed. I loved Bella. Yes, I loved her. For the first time in my life, I've fallen in love. The feeling made me confused. All I wanted to do was be with Bella. She was my life now. But I wasn't used to feeling this way. I've never experienced anything like this before. And Bella was amazing. Every second I spent with her was a gift from heaven. I hadn't exactly told Bella about all of this. I didn't know how Bella felt about me, and I wouldn't take the risk of scaring her away. I was in my room, lying on my bed as I thought about all of this. Tomorrow would be our anniversary. Well, tomorrow we've been together for a month. My friends seemed to think it was some kind of miracle. Which it was, actually. I couldn't even believe it myself. I was with Bella. I didn't know how I could have been so lucky. My friends were all deeply disappointed. I know they all wanted to go out with Bella too. But now that she was mine, they couldn't. That thought made me smile. Finally I've managed to keep a girl. Edward. Emmett called me. Are you coming or what? Right. Baseball. We were supposed to go play baseball this afternoon. I totally forgot. Hold on, I'll be right down. I jumped off my bed and gathered the stuff that I'd be needing. Hurry up, Edward. Emmett yelled from downstairs. Everyone's waiting for you. I rolled my eyes. Sure. When I'd come downstairs everybody would still be busy doing all kinds of things. It turned out I was right. I saw Esme running to the kitchen to get some snacks, Jasper searching his baseball cap and Alice doing Rose's hair. Apparently, she couldn't wear her hair loose. Emmett and Carlisle were both ready. They waited at the front door for the rest of us who weren't as quick as they were. I'm ready, I said. I thought you said the rest was ready too. I asked Emmett, who knew I wasn't serious. Shut up. Emmett simply reacted with a grin. At least you're here now, right? I nodded and waited with them. Oh, girls. They couldn't hurry up. Okay, I'm done, Alice said, and Rose and Alice came to us, too. We're both ready now, too, Alice said. Esme came running back from the kitchen with a bag, probably full with snacks. Esme told us she was ready too, and so we all left to play some baseball. It had been ages since I last played. BPOV. Bella, are you okay? Angela said. You seem a little distracted. She added. Of course I was. Tomorrow was Edward and mine anniversary. I had the right to be a little nervous. It was the first time I'd ever experienced something like that. Yeah, I said. I'm fine. But you're right, I'm a little distracted. I'm thinking about tomorrow. I could tell Angela everything. She was nothing like Jessica. Angela was really supportive of me and Edward. It could be because she was now dating Ben. A lot of girls are jealous of me these days, most of all Jessica. They wish they'd be dating Edward for a month now. I had to admit, the past month was like a dream. I never knew Edward could be so loving and caring. He was the sweetest guy I've ever known. Jessica hadn't tried anything yet, but I figured it was just a matter of time. Soon, she'd try something. On the one hand, I wanted her to let her plans go. I wanted her to back off. But on the other hand, I kind of wanted her to try to break us up. I wanted to know what her plans were. But most of all, I wanted to know how Edward really felt about me. Would he let me go easily? I certainly wasn't planning on letting him go. And I knew I could trust him. But somehow, I didn't completely trust him. "Oh, you're nervous about tomorrow?" Angela asked with a smile. I nodded to let her know that I was. "Oh, I think that's pretty normal. Do you guys have special plans?" I thought about that. "Well, I think we do. At least, Edward says he does, but he won't tell me, so I don't know if I should believe him." Angela smiled. "Maybe he has the most romantic plans." "Oh, you have to tell me about what happened." "Okay." I said to her that I would. Today it was Saturday and Angela had come over to do some homework. I thought about the day I told Charlie about me and Edward. He wasn't too happy about that. He wasn't even too happy about it now. "Dad, we have to talk," I said to Charlie. I hated this part. I didn't really want to discuss this with him. But I had to. The Cullens all knew about me and Edward, and Charlie deserved to know too. Plus, he'd find out anyway. And I'd rather he heard it from me. "What's up, Bells?" Charlie asked. Oh boy, I really had to tell him now. I swallowed and took a deep breath. Okay, I couldn't. "Well, I kinda have some news." "Good news or bad news?" Charlie asked. What kind of news was it? To me, it was definitely good news. But to Charlie, I think it was bad news to him. But I couldn't really decide. I don't really know. "I think you'd call it bad news." Charlie put down his paper. "Okay, what's going on?" he said. He wasn't angry, yet. How could I say this the best possible way? Well, it's like this. "Bella, you can just tell me," he sighed. I could tell he didn't like the waiting. "Well, me and Edward, you know, Edward Cullen, he used to live on this block. Well, we're sort of dating." "No you're not," Charlie said. "Dad, I am. Not if I have a say in this. You're not dating anyone until you're away for college." "Well, I sort of am now." "Young lady, you have to stick to the rule." Now I was confused. What rule? "The rule that says that you can't date any guy until you're going to college." He explained. "Dad, we don't have that rule." "We do now." I sighed and rolled my eyes. "Isn't he way too old for you?" Charlie insisted. "No, he's in my year." "Well, it doesn't matter anyway, because you're not gonna date him." Okay, I knew this upset him, but seriously, forbidding me to go out with him. Didn't that sort of cross a line? "Dad, please, I really like him, and he likes me too. All I ask from you is a chance. I think you'd really like him. He's a real good guy." Charlie snorted. "Yeah, right, he is," I said. "He really wants to meet you. I mean, he knows who you are, since he lived a few houses away, but I mean, he barely remembers anything of it." Sure. I'd like to meet that boy anyway, ask him what the heck he thinks he's doing." And he did really ask that. Charlie still didn't like the idea of me and Edward dating, but he didn't really have a choice. Of course I'd keep dating Edward even if he forbid it. And he wouldn't forbid it. He knew that wasn't the smartest solution to his problem. Anyways, Angela said, "I think I should go now. I think my mom and dad want me to come now. They'll probably have dinner ready soon." I nodded. Yeah, I should start with dinner now too. We said goodbye and she made me promise again to call her to tell her everything. I told her again that I would. Angela was my best friend now. Well, after Alice of course. Normally Jessica would have called me immediately after I went out with a guy. She was the one who always wanted the details, but hey, she never really was a great friend. Still, it was weird not hanging out with Jessica anymore. When Charlie came home, I was ready with dinner. We ate in silence most of the time. "Dad, you know about tomorrow, right? I won't be home tomorrow." Charlie groaned. "Yes, I know about that. Should I make you some dinner and put it in the fridge?" "No, I'm fine, Bells. I'll just order in." "It's okay." "Okay, If you say so. I was nervous the whole night. I couldn't concentrate on anything. I decided to go to bed early tonight. I found that I was pretty tired and I wondered what I had done to be so tired. I wondered if it were the nerves about tomorrow. That thought kept me awake for 10 whole seconds. And then I fell asleep. BPOV. I hate Alice. Significantly. She got here to me this afternoon, saying I'd want help getting prepared for this night. Yeah, it's anniversary day. Edward and I were officially together for 1 month. Unfortunately, no longer absolutely everyone was used to it by way of now. I sat at Edward and Emmett's table a lot in recent times, together with Alice. I do not know, commonly brothers and sisters don't in reality have interaction at college, purchase seemingly the Cullens have been this big exception. They all were given along nice with each different and every other's pals. I concept this became humorous, like they had been all splendid buddies instead of household. Anyway, I've noticed that quite a few Edward's friends look at me weirdly. Like I'm this big pink dragon with yellow stripes gambling the tuba. No, I'm serious. Truly, every pal of Edward looked at me like that, besides for Alice and Emmett of Path, however they didn't count number. They have been his brother and sister for crying out loud. Besides, I used to be saying that Alice got here over. She added her B6F D8 D88 D79 Ed 1018 DF 623 DOB 49 E84 E7 bag and loads of clothes. I admit, I had a tiny panic assault proper then and there. She had rolled her eyes and instructed me I shouldn't be makeup, and she stated that of route she changed into going to assist me. What did I count on? But to inform the reality, I kind of anticipated I used to be capable of get dressed myself. Reputedly, that turned into not the case. Too terrible. So there I used to be, sitting on a chair within the kitchen, with Alice's hands in my hair, brushing it, pulling it makeup and then letting it give way once more, as if she failed to know what to do with it. Bella, you have high quality hair. I am severely certainly jealous proper now. No marvel Edward likes you, he is probable throughout your hair, isn't always he? Yeah, right. Like I was going to inform his sister where his fingers have been all of the time. Yeah, they have been in my hair plenty, he changed into a gentleman and all. However, permit me inform you, there have been times he wasn't all that gentleman-like. No make UP makeup, we haven't accomplished anything yet. I'm not that form of lady. Ha ha Alice. Forestall attempting, I am no longer telling you whatever approximately me and Edward, but thanks for the praise anyway. I understand you love it to make me blush, so I'll just maintain questioning you stated that with a purpose to make me blush. Alice rolled her eyes at my remark. She hated how I could not accept a compliment. Nicely, at least she stated I could not. And Edward completely agreed with her. However high their makeup, I should take a compliment. As a minimum, if the praise wasn't approximately me, however approximately my vehicle or something. Maybe my room. That kind of stuff. So perhaps I could not take a compliment, who cares? Bella don't be make-upped makeup. Alice said. But how should I help being what I was? I couldn't fight my nature. Alice, I don't make up this is all important. Come on, you do not ought to do my hair. B6FD8 D88 D79 Ed 1018 DF 623 DOB 49 E84 E7 and dress me. Might not one of those alternatives be sufficient? Alice gave me a glance that cautioned I ought to be locked makeup in an institute. Of root this is all vital Bella. You do want him to drop down in surprise when he sees how without a doubt breathtaking splendid you're. Now not certainly Alice. I suggest, I need him for our date. Alice laughed at my statement. Satisfactory, she stated. However I do want to complete all this. It may not take lengthy anymore. Apparently, whilst Alice says that it might not take lengthy anymore, it still takes approximately 2 hours. However I had to provide her this. I did appearance, I do not even dare to make it, beautiful. I failed to even seem like me anymore. It is in all likelihood why, though. Alice, you did the trick. I'm executed, and yes, I look suitable. Now, are we done gambling dress makeup? Alice gave me a grin and nodded. Wow Bella, I imply, I knew you have been splendid, however with a bit help from me, you know because you do not dare to wear designer outfits, you could appear to be a makeup stick insect, but not one of these very thin conceited you know whats. You appear like, I do not know, you simply appear to be you stepped from a mad cowl. Like you are no longer real. I rolled my eyes. Sorry Alice, I don't make makeup, you're speaking the fact. Alice just shook her head and sighed. I looked at the clock. Edward ought to be here in 10 minutes. I felt a touch anxious now, I needed to admit. This changed into the first time I've ever had something to rejoice with a man. And for the primary real boyfriend I ever had, I do not make up I did a specific bad job. Virtually, make makeup I did a great process finding a guy. I discovered one even Jessica cannot have. I giggled a little bit but then at once wished I hadn't. Alice gave me a strange look. Seemingly, I didn't giggle lots. Bella, he's right here, Alice stated. She took my breath away. I could sense the nerves in my stomach now. Oh my, Alice, I do not make Uppo's makeup, I will do that. No, you have got to tell him I cannot pass. You open the door and tell him I'm ill, or something. Bella, loosen makeup, please. It's not a huge deal. You're just going out with him. Now please, take a deep breath and open the door. He has rang the bell 4 instances now. I sighed, took a deep breath and walked to the door. After I opened it, I used to be struck by means of how stunning Edward seemed this night. I hadn't seen would ever adore it earlier than in my existence. No surprise Jessica changed into jealous of me. Edward regarded wonderful. Hello, I managed to mention by using a few miracle. He smiled at me, now I truly couldn't breathe. Hello yourself, he replied my greeting. Wow Bella, you appearance beautiful this night. I felt the blood flood to my cheeks. Thanks, I said. You appearance great too. He laughed a touch at my remark. Did something funny show makeup? I didn't recognize, however to be sincere, I failed to actually care either. Are you makeup to head? I nodded. Yes, permits move then. He took my hand and led me to the automobile in which he opened my door for me. I lifted my blue satin get dressed so I may want to get in as gracefully as I may want to. I did not succeed. I stumbled within the automobile, nearly tripping over my get dressed. I heard Edward giggle quietly at the back of me and I should sense myself blush again. When he turned into inside the vehicle too, he checked out me once more, smiled and turned on the automobile. Allows move, he said, nonetheless looking at me before he drove off. In which are we going? Definitely. I requested him. I did not have the faintest concept. I had no idea what he had deliberate for us. I didn't even dare to wager. I'm now not going to tell you. That'd break the wonder. I rolled my eyes. I desired to recognize, even though I knew I probably liked it even higher as a marvel. Have I stated? Satisfied anniversary? Edward asked me. I laughed a touch and smiled. No truly, you have not. Satisfied anniversary to you, too. He gave me a bright smile. Thanks. We drove in silence, even though it wasn't an awkward silence. Once in a while I peeked at him, he regarded so good looking, sitting there in his in shape. After 5 minutes, his hand wandered up to my knee. He gave me a tiny squeeze in my leg, though he failed to take a look at me. I positioned my quit his, so he should maintain his hand there. We're right here, Edward stated. I smiled and appeared through the window, however I could not see whatever. It turned into way too darkish. Edward, why aren't there any lighting fixtures? I requested cautiously. Edward got out of the auto and walked round to open my door. I got out too and looked around. Edward, why are we in the center of nowhere? I asked him again. Do not worry love, we simply ought to walk a tiny bit. Just agree with me. I seemed in his eyes. Walk, for a way along. Edward, I'm sporting high heels. Edward chuckled a touch, and looked at my featuring as though that gave him lots to think about. You are completely right. Nicely, we are going to have to restoration that, now don't we? I failed to precisely realize what he meant, till he scooped me makeup and held me in his palms. I let out a tiny scream, no longer very loud though. Edward, what are you doing? I asked, perhaps sounding a little mad. I wasn't mad, though. I was just very scared. Nicely, you stated you could not stroll on those excessive heels. So I'm not letting you walk on those high heels. He began on foot towards the trees. Edward, come on, I'm able to walk for myself. Positioned me down. No, he virtually answered. I sighed and after struggling a touch, I gave makeup. He became just too strong. I puzzled what he did to have those robust palms. Man, how often every week did this guy exercise session? I suggest, I was his lady friend, wasn't I? Makeup recognize how strong he changed into. How frequently he labored out. I admit, I wasn't pres makeup no, but I used to be curious. Edward, in which are we going? I asked. He was strolling for a while now. I was amazed he changed into still able to elevate me. You may see, was his incredible diplomatic solution. Edward, you are using me loopy. I positioned my pouty face on, however it failed to work on him. In truth, he said, ha, and started out giggling a bit. Okay, I have to never placed my pouty face on once more. You're accusing me of riding you crazy. Do not you observe that sort of funny? He requested me with a shiny smile on his face. I checked out him with an asking look. What do you imply? I waited for an evidence at the same time as he walked. You imply the fact that you're constantly riding me crazy. Smiling at me with that first-rate smile of yours, searching at me with the most beautiful eyes here on the planet. When your hand is in my hair, simply to tease me. I will tell you, you don't ought to do a good deal to force me loopy, Bella. I regarded him inside the eyes, no longer being capable of make up something to say. Edward the First, I don't simply recognize what to mention. My cheeks were hot. I used to be blushing like crazy, having Edward say these words to me. Thank you. I introduced, and we each laughed a little. ABR makeup. Edward stopped walking. His head got here toward mine, his lips now inches far from my lips. We seemed each other in the eyes. His eyes had been so beautiful, and with the aid of some miracle, they had been fixating on mine. On every occasion I am with Edward the First experience the luckiest lady on the planet. Sometimes I cannot even blame all the women for hating me. Edward changed into just best. Edward's lips have been now almost in opposition to mine. I was awaiting his lips to press against mine. We are here, Edward sighed. I sighed. Okay, no kissing. For now. BPOV. Edward the First can't see something. I informed my boyfriend. Okay, I admit, I most effective used that phrase in my head due to the fact I wanted to listen it again. I loved it. He became makeup, and I used to be fairly lucky, though I wasn't so sure about him now. Why did he take me to the center of nowhere? I couldn't see a issue. If I failed to know any higher, I would makeup. He become going to kidnap me. He sighed, though. Bella, it is accessible. He positioned his finger on my cheek and became my head to the left. I may want to see a bit. It changed into a vibrant spot, though I couldn't quite see what it turned into. I checked out Edward questioningly. He nodded, telling me I should pass there to take a glance. I took a few steps inside the course and heard Edward's footsteps at the back of me. I took every other 2 steps toward the bright spot I noticed. I used to be so curious, I wanted to understand what it was. However, I couldn't naked to take the final step to look what was going on there. I took a deep breath, even though there wasn't an aspect I ought to be scared for, and took the very last step. I finished respiratory for a 2D. Edward, wow. I reminded myself to respire. It's so beautiful. You suspect so? Edward requested, however I knew he notion it changed into brilliant too. We have been status in a meadow, a big open spot among all of the timber. Proper in the center stood a table. The meadow changed into completely round, and it become surrounded by means of loads of red roses. I took some step forwards and grew to become round inside the meadow. It changed into so stunning and perfect. Above me, there were so many tiny lights and there was a candle burning on the table. My eyes traced the roses and the light. Edward, it's high quality. I cannot agree with you, probably did this. Edward walked to me and I put my fingers round his waist, pressing me tight in opposition to him. You are so candy for doing this. I delivered, and let out a content sigh. This moment was absolutely best. The whole lot I did it for you. I'll constantly do the entirety in my lifestyles for you. I regarded makeup, proper into his eyes. Bella, he said. Bella, I think I like you. I felt my eyes pop open a bit. Not because I notion it turned into too quickly. No longer due to the fact I idea we could not be in love. None of that. I used to be stunned due to the fact I hadn't concept he felt the identical manner as I did. I appeared deeply into his eyes and a tiny smile seemed on my face earlier than I stated, I love you too. My palms slowly went from wrapped around his waist, to wrapped round his neck. His face slowly came towards mine, at the same time as he placed his palms around my waist, pulling me nearer. A shiny smile regarded on his face. Properly it's brilliant. Edward's voice whispered in my ear. His face got here nearer and closer. See, I used to be by myself on that. And then his lips pressed in opposition to mine. It felt as if the meadow round me changed into turning, as if the floor under me become falling down. Sure, I have kissed Edward before and on every occasion he kissed me I felt fireworks. However this time was special. This time turned into more. He loved me. EPOV. My fingers have been around Bella's waist and I pulled her as tight in opposition to me as viable. My arms slowly went makeup, going for her hair. Her pores and skin felt so smooth below my hands. After some time we needed to pass aside even though, really because humans need oxygen. I couldn't manage the smile that appeared on my lips. I could not be extra happier than I'm now. While I was with Bella, I felt as if not anything existed round us. As if we have been the best people on earth. Edward, she whispered. My palms touched her lips, tracing them, feeling their softness and warmth. I genuinely do love you. No longer as a whole lot as I like you. Wanna wager? Bella said, and we both smiled earlier than I leaned right down to kiss her once more. After a while I thought Bella have to as a minimum eat something. So lamentably I leaned away, hugging her yet again. I lead her to the desk and pulled her chair back. Here you go, love. I kissed her on her brow and sat down too. Considering I had no concept what I ought to make, I made spaghetti, something very easy, but become usually taken into consideration romantic. Edward, it's delicious. Did you honestly make it yourself? Bella said with a wink. I laughed a bit. All me. I loved every minute of it. Right here I used to be, dining with a gorgeous female, who's clever, humorous, exceptional. She had all of it. And that I could not ever get sufficient of her. BPOV. I failed to see coming what befell next. Which become that make-uply Edward had a container. No, it wasn't a box with a hoop. Come on, we are just 17. Satisfied anniversary. Edward saw Eid with a mysterious smile earlier than he exceeded me the container. Edward, I gasped. You bought me a gift. Really, you shouldn't have. But I needed to admit, I used to be absolutely curious now. I mean, we were not make-up intended to offer every different affords. I do not actually have a gift for you. Do not worry, love. You don't ought to make-up me a gift. And sure, I have to have, because you're the most stunning, make-youper, best lady alive, and also you deserve it. My face was burning and that I felt like a tomato. Nonetheless, I stated. You shouldn't have. Edward rolled his eyes however he never stopped smiling. Simply open it, he stated. Which I did. Edward, wow, this is top-notch. I can't accept this. It changed into a beautiful golden necklace, with a golden coronary heart. The heart had a ruby in the higher makeup left corner. It became the most stunning component I've ever seen. Properly, except for Edward. Sure, you may be given it. What else am I going to do with it? I cannot wear it myself, now am I able to? I laughed at that. No, of root he couldn't wear it himself. But this changed into manner to large. I couldn't likely receive this gift. Come on, we have been only collectively for a month. I recognize what you are questioning, Bella. Sure, you're going to just accept it. I need you to have it. And no, I might not take it returned. Once more, I laughed. Well in that case, I really like it. Thanks so much. I leaned to him and kissed him passionately. You're the first class Edward. I really like you. How appropriate it felt to in the end being able to mention that to him. Right here, let me help. I held my hair out of the way and let Edward put the necklace round my neck. Edward, thank you a lot for the whole thing. I don't deserve this all. Bella, he said, turning me around to face him. My breath form of stopped whilst he checked out me. You don't, he stated at the same time as his hand brushed via my hair and that I closed my eyes. Once I opened them once more I regarded in his smiling face. You deserve even greater. I smiled, pulling him close to me. Even this, I said, slowly, even his status on my feet, moving my face to his. I don't make makeup so. I whispered earlier than gently urgent my lips to his. Ah sure, I was in paradise. EPOV. After spending the few most amazing hours in my life with Bella, I walked her back to the car and drove her home. I didn't even give her a chance to open her own door, since I sort of ran out of the car and rushed to her side before opening the door. She had her hand on the handle, a sign she was about to open the car herself. Lucky for me, I beat her to it. With a smile on my lips I took her hand and helped her out of the car. Thanks, Bella muttered. She always felt as if she didn't need any help. As if she could manage everything on her own. And that also included opening car doors. But hey, I wasn't going to let her. She was a lady, and she deserved to be treated as such, even though she doesn't even want to. Plus, if she would do everything on her own, I'm guessing she wouldn't succeed at half of it, since she would just trip all the time and has to get herself to the hospital on her own. It's my pleasure, of course. I told her and closed the door behind her. I knew Charlie had heard us coming, so I didn't have a long time to say goodbye, which was exactly what I wanted. Having long time, I mean. Not that I wanted to say goodbye to Bella. I would never want to say goodbye to Bella. If it were possible, I'd have her with me all the time. I couldn't bear the thought of leaving her now, being alone for the night. But of course, that's how it always went. I pressed Bella against the car. I wasn't ready to let her go just yet. I needed my goodbye first. I looked in Bella's gorgeous brown eyes, feeling the happiest man on earth. I had the luck of having Bella. I was the lucky guy she chose to be with. I had a really good time tonight. It's a cliché, I know. But I've been on a lot of dates, and to be honest, the line always worked. It works especially well if you put in a smile too, which is of course exactly what I did. Not that I wanted to treat Bella like I treated all the other girls, I just really wanted to kiss her again. Me too. Those two words escaped from Bella's lips as if she had said them 1,000 times before. But Bella had assured me she hasn't. She knew all about how I dated about every girl in school, but according to her, she never really dated. I found that hard to believe. Bella was so beautiful, and it wasn't just me. My friends apparently thought she was pretty hot, too. Not that I asked them or anything. But when they were at my house a few days ago they all went like, "Edward, man, you have got to tell us about the chick you're supposedly dating. I mean, where did you find her?" Of course I told them that Bella actually went to our school since, well, forever, and that they simply hadn't seen her. I have been stupid too, though, for not seeing her all those years. I mean, yeah, I knew she was there. I've been best friends with her when I was this tiny little kid. But I've always been way too embarrassed for what I did to talk to her. I should have made my apologies earlier. I should have told her I was sorry years ago. Maybe then we'd have had even more time to be together. I love you, I told Bella again. I've probably mentioned this a couple of times before tonight. Well okay, 17 times, if you must know. But it felt so good to finally being able to say the 3 words. I've felt them for a while, but I didn't say them out loud to Bella's face before. This was huge, and the fact that, when I said them, Bella always told me the same was pretty cool too. I love you, too. Bella whispered. Our faces were now only inches apart. Bella's lips parted a little, she probably guessed my intentions. Well, they were probably obvious. Bella was pressed up against a silver Volvo, my arms on each side of her, so she couldn't escape, and my lips were now nearly against hers. I think we stood there for 10 seconds, just looking at each other's face. But right when I wanted to make the tiny distance between mine and Bella's lips disappear I heard the voice of someone else. "Bella, are you there?" Ah, of course. I shouldn't have been waiting so long. Now I couldn't even get the goodbye I really wanted. Bella closed her eyes and sighed as she threw her head back. I'm guessing she was hoping for a different goodbye too. I gave her an apologetic smile and kissed her on her right cheek. "I'll pick you up tomorrow," I said as I stepped back. Bella looked over at Charlie who was standing in his doorway. "Yeah Dad, I'm here. I'll be over in a second." Charlie didn't move though, he just nodded and kept standing there, making it impossible for me to kiss her quickly. The man was good, I had to give him that. He knew exactly what time to interrupt. "Good night," I said, "and don't forget, I love you." Bella giggled. Well then don't you forget that I love you twice as much. She said with a bright smile on her face. I was sorry to disagree with her, but I had to. Impossible. Bella just shook her head, probably smart to avoid the discussion we could have right then and there about who loved who the most. We could have talked about that for hours. Well, I could. Bella, Charlie shouted again. Bella rolled her eyes. I'm coming. She turned her face to me one more time. Well, good night Edward. I'll see you tomorrow. I nodded. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. And then she walked away, to her dad. I walked around the car again and got in. I looked over to see if Bella was still standing there, but she had gone inside. Probably a request from Charlie. I drove off to my house. Oh, what a night. BPOV. I closed the door and let my back rest against it. Oh wow, a lot of things had happened tonight. The place Edward took me to, it was amazing. The things he said to me. Okay well, the one sentence he told me over and over again. I could still hear it in my mind, feeling the way I feel when he tells me that. Which is completely weak. My knees tremble, my mind doesn't work anymore. I'm unable to think. I can hardly believe my ears. Oh, all the things I had to tell Angela. But I wasn't going to tell her everything. I couldn't tell her that he loved me and that I loved him. I don't know why, but it felt as if I would ruin it if I said anything about it. That stuff was my business, and nobody had anything to do with it. Well, except for Edward of course. And I'd probably tell Alice too. And he would probably tell his brothers, or already had. And so it would be only fair if I told Rosalie too, since she is part of the family, being Emmett's one and only and all that. But nobody else would know. Good night, Cha Dad. I looked at my dad, who was sitting in his chair watching sports, as always. I'm going to bed now. I'm really tired. Plus, I have school tomorrow. I didn't even know what time it was, but it was probably not very late. Okay Bells. Good night. Good night Dad. I walked upstairs and quickly changed into my pajamas. I couldn't believe the night I just experienced. It was unbelievable. Edward had actually done all that for me. He gave me this beautiful necklace that I didn't want to take off. I did take it off, because I was so afraid I was going to break it in my sleep. But I'd definitely wear it every day from now on. He arranged an entire 3-course meal for 2, hung up lights in a meadow and everything. I must have been the luckiest person on the planet. I replayed the whole evening in my head, 4 times. But I was really getting tired. So I simply closed my eyes, and fell asleep. BPOV. When I saw sunlight shining in my room, I realized it was morning. When I looked at the necklace on my desk I realized I had the best night of my life. When I looked at the picture on the wall I realized I had the best boyfriend ever. And when I looked at my alarm clock I realized I'd overslept. Oh, shit, I let the word escape my lips as I shoved the blankets aside. I ran to a mirror, to see how much time I would need to look decent. I did not have enough time. As I ran out of my room I quickly grabbed my brush and started fixing my hair while I was running downstairs, trying to grab some breakfast. I hadn't, of course, realized I was still in my PJs. I grabbed my books and ran back upstairs to brush my teeth. Downstairs I heard Edward's car, so I immediately went outside. Edward, thank you so much. You're a lifesaver. I saw Edward smile a crooked smile. And what are you, then? He asked me, still smiling. Too tired from last night to think about wearing clothes to school. I looked down in confusion, not getting what he meant. Shit, I cried out again and I heard Edward chuckle. Okay, can you please wait for 1 minute? I don't even know if he heard me, seeing as how I tried screaming it while I was running back in my house as fast as I could. But it's not as if he would leave without me. I put on the first things I saw, a blue sweater with my old jeans, and was about to go back down when I saw the necklace Edward gave me lying on my desk. Oh no, I'd have to wear that today. I grabbed it from my desk, got my bag and ran outside again. Okay, I think I'm ready. Or do you see anything else that has to be fixed before we go to school? Edward stared at me as I was walking to his car. Bella, relax, we have time, he said, but he fastened his pace too. But he did, I understood after a few seconds, to reach my door before I did so he could open it. And you look beautiful, Bella. I smiled at him. It was amazing how he could always make me feel better about myself. Well, You might not see it, or you're too polite to say it, but there is something missing. And maybe you'd like to fix that. I asked him in the nicest voice I had, handing him the necklace. Edward chuckled. I have to admit that I have noticed it. Turn around. I did as he told me and held my hair out of the way. I felt Edward's hands on my skin and a chill went down my spine as he whispered in my ear. Perfect, he whispered. I closed my eyes and felt his lips press a kiss on my neck. I love you, Bella, he added, and even though I knew I was late, I couldn't think about it anymore. He was very good at distracting me. I love you more, I answered him, but I saw him shake his head. Impossible, he replied before he leaned in to kiss me. Now hurry up, Bella, we're late. I was surprised at his words and the wink he gave me before he opened my door, gesturing for me to get it. A plus about riding with Edward is that he drives really fast. So every time I'm late for anything, he drives really fast, so that we can still make it. The downside of riding with Edward is that he drives really fast. It scares me to death. This time, it worked out pretty great, even though I was really late, he still made it. Piece of cake. We were there in time. We were early, even. Hey Bella, a cheerful voice called behind me. Angela. Hi, sorry I didn't call last night, I was pretty tired, I completely forgot about calling her, but I remembered as soon as I saw her. Oh, that's okay, I'm sure you had other things on your mind. Angela giggled at the same time I started to blush, while Edward quietly laughed, probably thinking about getting caught by Charlie yesterday. I was pretty embarrassed about that. I'm sure you did, Bella. Edward sighed with a wink. I have to go, I'll see you at lunch. He gave me a kiss on the cheek. Okay, see you. He smiled at me before he turned around and walked away. So, Angela asked, excited, how was it last night? I sighed happily, thinking about last night. The meadow, the food, Edward telling me he loves me. Amazing. Angela laughed. Great, you have to tell me about it later, but right now, we have to go. I nodded and followed her. For the rest of the day everybody just seemed to make a little small talk, but of course, when I ran into Alice she already forced most of the details out of Edward, and now she wanted the rest from me. Though she already heard the most important thing that happened yesterday. Bella, wow, finally, you finally told each other you love each other. That must have felt good, to finally say what you really feel. And that necklace he gave you, it's definitely beautiful. Of course, he picked that out with a little help from a certain someone, Alice hinted. I should have known. Well, thank you, Alice, it's beautiful, I love it. But he paid for it himself. Alice went on. It was about the most expensive jewelry in the store. I can't believe how much he's changed. I think you have a good influence on him, Bella. Anyways, he told me something about not being able to say an appropriate goodbye or whatever. What was he talking about, Bella? He didn't want to tell me. I sighed. Oh, typical Alice. She always wanted to know everything. I was impressed by the expensive jewelry though. Not because, according to Alice, it was expensive. I was impressed by the fact that she said he was changed. That meant he never really gave women expensive jewelry. I couldn't hide the smile that was forming on my lips. Alice thought I smiled about something else. Bella, what kind of goodbye did you two have? She asked unsure, as if she didn't really want to know. Ah, Alice, come on, what kind of girl do you think I am? Alice giggled. Well, you never know. People do strange things for love. Always have, always will. I just rolled my eyes at her. Well, not me, yet, Alice said. I stared at her in shock. Carry on. Well, what I was going to say was that if Edward didn't want to tell you, I'm not going to tell you. I said. And also, please don't tell me anything about you and Jasper. I don't want to know. Alice giggled again, apparently thinking about something. I sincerely hoped she wasn't thinking about something specific that happened between her and Jasper. Anyways, Bella, it's different. Edward's my brother. Of course he doesn't want to tell me. You're my best friend. Come on, best friends tell each other everything. I hope that's not true, Alice, because then apparently we aren't best friends. Oh come on, Bella, you have to tell me something. I sighed. Fine, Charlie caught us, okay. We were saying goodbye, I said, but I saw Alice roll her eyes. Okay, we were kissing against his car, and Charlie opened the door and yelled for me to come in. She smiled happily. Thank you, Bella. That's all I wanted to know. That sucks about Charlie though. Maybe you should go to our house more often. I snickered. Yeah, I laughed. Sure, Alice. Because you guys never, ever interrupt us or anything. Alice smiled apologetic. Sorry, but it's so much fun to see your faces. Alice let out a tiny giggle. Besides, if you guys don't want to be disturbed, Edward should get a lock. He just likes to brag that he has a girlfriend now, too. She rolled her eyes. Haha. Very funny, Alice. I'm not joking. I'm serious. Go ask him why he doesn't have a lock on his door. I swear, he won't have anything to say. I wanted to say something really smart to Alice, but I was interrupted by a voice calling my name behind me. Bella. Oh no. Why couldn't that girl ever stop? I heard I should congratulate you. I turned around and put on my best fake smile. Jessica. Thank you so much. Jessica smiled back, but I could see it was all fake with her, too. A month. Wow, Bella, I have to admit, I never thought you guys would last this long. Well, we did. I tried to be cheerful. Nice, even. She used to be my best friend. Anyways, Bella, do you want to walk with me to the cafeteria? I really need to talk to you. She looked at Alice. Alone. I thought about it. I didn't want to walk with her, or talk with her. But she deserved a chance. Maybe it was really important. Oh, fine, I said. I'll see you there, Alice. Alice nodded, but I could see that she didn't like this. Fine, I'll see if I can find Jasper anywhere. I told her okay and looked at Jessica. Let's go. I started walking towards the cafeteria. So what did you want to talk about, Jessica? I asked. I didn't want to sound rude or anything, but she said she wanted to tell me something. And I wasn't really interested in other stories from her. Going straight to the point, Jessica asked, but since I didn't answer her, she continued. Listen, Bella, I'm really sorry about everything I've said in the past. I don't know what was wrong with me. I guess I was really in love with Edward. But now I see that you two are great together, and he couldn't have found a better girlfriend. I see that now. I'm sorry about everything. That was a shocker. It sounded as if she was honest, though I wasn't sure of it. With Jessica, you never knew. Wow, Jess. That's really nice of you. I tried to sound as honest as possible. It was nice in some way. If she truly meant it. But I should believe her. I should do my best to believe her. She had been my friend, until a month ago. And she had a reason to be mad at me. I did start to date the boy she'd been in love with. And I'm sure, if it were the other way around, I'd be pretty pissed too. Though I probably wouldn't have made threats to make sure the happy couple would break up. It's not nice. It's what I should have done a month ago, Jessica said, as a smile appeared on her face. Hold on, she said. I have to answer this text message. She took out her cell and quickly texted something to someone. I had no idea what she was doing. You wanna go inside? I asked her. Jessica looked up, as if she had been dreaming. Oh, yeah, she seemed nervous. I didn't know why. It was probably about how people would react if they would see the two of us together. Everyone knew we had a huge fight. And everyone knew it was about Edward. I opened the doors to the cafeteria. And I did not like what I saw. The end. We will continue in next part.